Hi everybody, welcome to the South Australian Sports Show. I hope you can stay with us for the next hour. We have plenty coming up on the show, and I can tell you there is a young para-athlete coming in here that is an absolute superstar. You need to be on cue when he's on because you're going to feel some energy come from the young man. As I welcome a man with lots of energy himself, Barry Curtin, the show. Baz, how are you?
Well, I'm okay, but I'm not as up as our
Jack
guest.
Netting, mate. Jack, he was fantastic.
He was amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing fella.
So I'm looking forward to listening to him and what he's got to say. He's the most positive bloke you'll ever talk to. I want to ask you about the footy. Let's get on to the footy, of course. On the weekend, mate, the Crows went down to GWS by 67 points.
Yeah.
The Power went down to Brisbane by 49 points. So both big losses.
Yeah, heavy losses.
Which one, and coming into Showdown 4,975,000, Showdown 49. I'm wondering if they'll stop the number, hopefully at 100. But which psyche got rocked the most?
I think Adelaide, playing at home.
Yep.
And a game they might have expected to sneak in. I think they would have copped it a bit more. Port's record against Brisbane is not all that flash.
No.
And do you know what gets me, Phil?
Yep.
Is people complaining that they got beat. I mean, you're not going to go through a year and not lose a game.
Do you know why?
You're going to lose games.
Once the expectation gets lifted,
yeah,
and you know, this is our grand final year, we're playing the grand final, the expectation
Port's not saying that, mind you.
Is up. No, but the media are, and the fans are. Fans are starting to expect, you know, a lot of talk about the way they're playing, and even Hinkley this week coming out and saying, or last week now, our focus is on the game. Koshy and the other people deal with the prison bars. Yes, it's important to the club, but our focus is totally on Brisbane.
Yeah.
So it looks like the build-up's pretty good.
Yeah, no problem.
And then you go, oh, gee, we lost.
Yeah.
And Brisbane haven't been playing great footy either.
They did all
although the expectation is the same on them.
Exactly.
It's just easier to live in a town that's not so footy-centric.
And they play
But
well.
I want to ask you this. Travis Boak is out.
Yeah.
And you know how I've rated Boak. I thought he has been an unbelievable key player for a long time for Port.
Yeah.
And people are saying, oh, no Boak, no Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
I go, well, I don't know if that's true. Certainly an impact not having him,
yeah.
but I don't think they're just around Travis Boak. No. It's like saying no Richmond, no Dusty Martin, and they got up for the win.
Yeah.
Lachie Neale doesn't play for Brisbane, so where I'm going is kind of like for like. So if I said to you now, you've just been handed the head coaching role of the AF team, you can have Boak or you can have Lachie Neale. Which one would you take? Would you have to toss of the coin?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's so when people have said that to me, I've said I think both fantastic players.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you know, you could go either one and you're not going to lose anything. If you threw Dusty Martin into the mix, you would all go, well, we'll take Dusty.
Yeah.
So, but those two are pretty much liable. So, like for like in out, where was the game lost?
The game was lost in with Port's efficiency, but the game was lost
But
really because Brisbane
50
were really good. You know,
Harris Andrews responded from the week before.
He did.
Or Port kept kicking the ball to him.
Exactly
one or the other.
right.
So
That's exactly what happened. Do you know,
maybe
it's
made
hard
an
to be-
arrangement before the game.
Well, it's hard to be critical, but because he played such a great game. But in that first quarter, when Port went inside 50 quite a bit and whatever, and didn't score, it was poor kicking coming out of the middle. And Ollie Wines was one of the main culprits there.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he had a lot of footy.
It's unusual for Ollie.
It was, because his game's improved a lot in that area. But on the weekend, it was poor again. It was he kicked the ball to Harris, I think, 3 times.
Yeah.
But he wasn't the only one.
No.
Port's efficiency inside 50 was very, very poor, which allowed Brisbane to take intercept marks. But you can't take anything away from Brisbane because they were really good.
Yeah, they were on fire.
And once you start taking marks, like Ken Hinkley says, inside 50s mean nothing.
Yes.
Absolutely nothing, because you bomb it inside 50, they mark the ball, it's inside your 50, but whose advantage is it? It's theirs.
Absolutely.
They've got the
Back
footy.
out.
Well, they've got the footy.
Okay, if we keep that over here for a moment, now we're talking about the Crows v GWS, and the reason I'm breaking this down is because we're going to work out how we think this is going to play out on Saturday at the Showdown. Going into the game, most people would have thought, and you touched on it, the Crows can probably get GWS because they're not motoring all that well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, a bit like Brisbane were motoring really well.
Yeah.
GWS were motoring really well.
Played extremely well.
Last week on the show, I mentioned to you that I think that the pre-season, the Crows came, they were in shape, they started really well.
Yeah.
I think the young bodies are starting to go. They're fatiguing, and everyone, they can't. We know, 50, 60 games. Talk to any of the AFL experts, and they'll say
That's true.
So they look like they've started to... They've hit the wall. They need the break to come and it's too far away.
Yeah.
Would you say, coming into Saturday's game then, based on that Port have got the edges?
I think this is Adelaide's best chance.
to get them.
Yeah, I mean, given the injuries they've got.
Biggest injury? Who's the biggest injury?
I think Butters is their biggest injury. I really do.
Butters is a big loss.
He's a massive loss, mate.
Right.
He's
the Crows can get Sloan back.
Yeah, his year last year, Butters was just outstanding, and he started the year in a similar vein. He's the one they miss a lot. Dersmer, obviously, they miss. There's no doubts about that, but, you know...
Pepper back in?
Pep's back in. I didn't think he played all that badly last week against Brisbane. He'll be better.
So it's not a bad
for
in.
the run
Yeah.
this week. It's a good in.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Sloan in for the Crows is a good in for them.
Yeah, but they're saying that Boak will be back this week. Burton won't miss with his ribs. So
I'll get some people back. Burton's given them some spark up front too. So
that's at this stage.
All right.
I mean, things could change in selection quite quickly.
So who are you going
Rosie. Oh no, Ports will belt them, but it's Adelaide's best chance.
All right, okay. Just quickly, the Thunderbirds, of course, got off to the season started last weekend. They had a loss against the Giants, which was a bit unfortunate, and then they've got Brisbane this weekend. What are we expecting from the Thunderbirds this year, mate?
What we expect from the Thunderbirds all the time, Phil, and that is they're a great team. They've always been a really good team.
Yep.
They struggled a bit last year, or was the year before?
Yeah, no, they were better last year. They were around the mark. I mean,
but they've always been a good side.
All right, yeah, and they come against the Firebirds, who last year they only lost to by 2 goals. So this will be a pretty interesting test for them, I think. This one to see whether again they've continued to improve on the back of last year.
Well, one of the girls said, Phil, it's so important for the Thunderbirds to do well, given the AFLW and
sure is.
You know, so it's important for them to do well because the Adelaide United girls did pretty well.
Yes.
In the soccer.
Yep.
So it's important that the Thunderbirds
do well.
And I thought that was a pretty good comment by
a pretty fair one.
The
Don't want to be
Thunderbirds.
losing players. Hey, we're off and running. We need to get going. Time to get over to Chelsea for all the news. Chelsea.
Thanks, guys. Hi, I'm Chelsea, and I'll be bringing you a weekly wrap-up of local sport. The South Australian volleyball season is up and running after last year's season being shortened due to COVID-19. In the Men's Premier League, Norwood, Mount Lofty A, the USC Lion A and Flinders Uni all won their respective games. Despite losing to Norwood 3-2 last Saturday, Henley are premiership favourites. Should be an interesting match tomorrow with Henley going up against last week winners, Mount Lofty A at the Mount Lofty Community Centre. On to netball, it wasn't the result they wanted with the Adelaide Thunderbirds going down by 14 points to the GWS Giants last weekend. The Thunderbirds donned black armbands for Ivy Rose Hughes, the 19-year-old Matrix netballer who tragically was killed in a car accident in McLaren Vale in February. The girls put on a fighting display, however, did show that they may struggle without delisted player Chelsea Pittman. They face the Queensland Firebirds this Sunday at Nissan Arena in Brisbane. Well, it's that time of year again with the first showdown happening tomorrow night at Adelaide Oval. Both Port Adelaide and the Adelaide Crows are coming off of bad losses, so it's hard to predict who will take this one out. Zach Butters and Xavier Dersma are going to miss the match due to injuries, but it'll be interesting to see if Travis Boak will play after missing last week's match against Brisbane due to a minor quad injury. Crows midfielder David McKay came off the ground in last week's match against GWS with a hip injury, and it is unsure whether he'll play tomorrow night. All I can say is go the power. Well, that's all from me with this week's weekly sport wrap-up. There's plenty more to come from the boys after the break.